Folks, what we just witnessed is chilling. And no, I'm not talking about the feeling you get when you realize Trump is back in charge of anything. I'm talking about his latest authoritarian stunt, his announcement that he's firing Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. This is unprecedented. No president in American history has ever tried to remove a sitting Fed governor. Not Reagan, not Bush, not Obama, not Biden. Why? Because the whole point of the Federal Reserve is that it's independent from political meddling. It's supposed to make decisions based on economics, not on whether Donald Trump woke up in a good mood or just got roasted on Truth Social. But here we are. Lisa Cook was appointed in 2022, confirmed by the Senate, and became the first black woman to ever serve on the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors. She's a respected economist, a professor, and someone who has spent her career focusing on innovation, financial stability, and economic growth.
We are returning to breaking news that President Trump says he is removing Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. Here's what I want you to know. This is the first time in 112 years that a U.S. president has moved to force out a Fed governor. The independence of the Federal Reserve has been a key element of American exceptionalism for over a century. And in one single social media post, President Trump may have kicked that to the curb tonight. And his cause to fire a Fed governor? An allegation of mortgage fraud made by a member of the Trump administration, Bill Pulte, who oversees mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. We now have a statement from Lisa Cook that reads in part the following. President Trump purported to fire me for cause when no cause exists under the law, and he has no authority to do so. I will not resign. I will continue to carry out my duties to help the American economy as I have been doing since 2022, end quote. Now, this allegation and the attempt to remove Cook clearly raises the question of the president's real motivation. Is it to push out Biden appointees and phase in those with loyalty to President Trump? Well, given his frustration with the Fed chair, it's a possibility.
Trump is now claiming he has sufficient cause to remove her, pointing to allegations that back in 2021, she improperly claimed 2 different homes as her primary residence to get better mortgage terms. Now, let's be clear. These are allegations, not proven facts. Cook has flatly denied them, called them baseless, and she's lawyered up to fight back. But here's the thing. Even if the allegations were true, they wouldn't automatically give a president the power to remove a Fed governor. The Federal Reserve Act only allows removals for cause, and historically, cause means something like corruption, serious misconduct, or incapacity. Not Donald Trump didn't like your mortgage paperwork. So what's really going on here? Simple. Trump is doing what Trump always does, trying to bend independent institutions to his will. He did it with the DOJ. He did it with the military. He did it with inspectors general. And now he's trying to do it with the Fed. Because here's the truth. Trump doesn't want an independent Federal Reserve. He wants a political arm of MAGA economics. He wants people who will slash interest rates on command, goose the stock market before elections, and punish anyone who doesn't play along. This is how dictators operate. They don't just pass laws, they dismantle the guardrails of democracy, one institution at a time. And now, one of those guardrails, the independence of the Federal Reserve, is being ripped out of the ground, and the markets are noticing.
But it's also important to remember, the committee that sets interest rates has 12 members. 7 of them are Fed governors appointed by the president, like Lisa Cook, but the other 5 members are heads of regional Fed banks. The president does not get to appoint them. But either way, we're already seeing an impact in the markets since the president's announcement. The U.S. dollar dropped on the news, weakening against other major currencies. With me now to discuss, Natasha Stern, former Treasury official and Yale Law professor, and Brendan Greeley, contributing editor for the Financial Times. Natasha, what is your reaction to the news?
You know, I am really, really disheartened and disappointed to see the politicization of the Federal Reserve. I think, and you got to it in your intro, Steph, we're in a situation where the independence of the central bank is such a critical national asset and such a key pillar of our economic security that it's been really hard to watch over the course of the last many months, the president and this administration try to interfere in the monetary policy function of the Federal Reserve. And I'm worried, frankly, about the signal that this sends about our economic strength. And I think you're starting to see that the market is worried as well.
The U.S. dollar sank. Treasury yields whipsawed. Investors describe the mood as chilling, not exactly the kind of word you want attached to the world's most important economy. Imagine being in Europe or Asia right now, looking at America and realizing the president is trying to fire a Fed governor like it's a bad episode of The Apprentice. Lisa Cook, you're fired. Except this isn't TV. This is the global financial system. And let's not forget who Lisa Cook is. She's not just a governor on the Fed, she's a trailblazer, the first black woman in that role. Someone who's fought for economic equity and who's brought new perspectives into a system that has historically been dominated by, well, let's just say, old white men who think crypto is a brand of dog food.
Joining me now for more on this, we have Republican strategist Malik Abdul and CNN political commentator Kate Bedingfield. Thank you both for joining us this morning to talk through a bunch of political headlines. Kate, I want to start with you, though, on this news on Cook here. The administration accusing her of allegedly committing mortgage fraud. Again, she's not been found guilty of any crime at this point. Kate, what do you think the political fallout from this might be?
Well, I think this sets an incredibly dangerous precedent. We've seen Trump over the last just few months use this pretense of mortgage fraud to go after people who have very clearly been political antagonists of his, thorns in his side, Tish James, Adam Schiff. This is clearly a favored effort by the Trump administration, by President Trump himself, to go after people who've been political opponents of his, and to expand that to an institution like the Fed, which has enormous influence over, control over how the U.S. economy functions, is dangerous. It sets a dangerous precedent. We want the Fed to be independent from political influence, as the reporter was just saying. A president who can make political decisions over fiscal policy is not necessarily going to make the best long-term economic decision. They're going to make whatever they think the best short-term political decision is for them. And that's not a successful way to run an economy. So I think there's enormously dangerous precedent here. I think there will be significant political pushback from Democrats, but also I expect from independents, from moderate Republicans who say this isn't the way that we want to run this country.
Cook has already said she's not resigning, and good for her, because this fight isn't just about her. It's about whether we let one man bulldoze through 100 years of precedent, just because he's mad that Jerome Powell won't kiss his ring. And honestly, let's talk about the hypocrisy for a second. Donald Trump, a man with a decades-long history of bankruptcies, lawsuits, and shady financial dealings, is now trying to paint Lisa Cook as unfit over unproven allegations about mortgage paperwork. This isn't about cause, this is about control. When Trump says he has sufficient cause, what he really means is that he doesn't want an independent voice at the Federal Reserve. The only cause he cares about is consolidating power, punishing his critics, and bending every institution in America to serve his personal and political interests. Step by step, move by move, Trump is showing us that he will not respect norms, he will not respect institutions, and he will not respect the Constitution if it gets in his way. The Fed is supposed to be independent, but if Trump succeeds here, it won't be. And that means interest rates, inflation, and even your mortgage could be dictated not by economic experts, but by a man who once tried to pay off a porn star with a personal check. Lisa Cook deserves better. America deserves better. And we need to keep calling this out for what it is. A dangerous, chilling abuse of power. Because if Trump can fire a Fed governor today, what's stopping him from firing anyone tomorrow?